Hi, I'm Damien Green from Nutrition Melbourne, and I'm here with Kate today, and we're going to be talking about the body scanner option, which is available at Nutrition Melbourne.
Okay, so can you just start by telling us a little bit about the body scanner, and as a client, what sort of information will that give me?
Yep. So the body scanner that we use is a technique called bioelectrical impedance analysis. And essentially what that is using a range of impulses at different frequencies, which can pass through the body, and we can differentiate between mineral content, protein content, water content, skeletal muscle mass, body fat mass. We can look at visceral fat. We can look at a whole range of different things. We can look at body composition through your left arm for fat mass and muscle mass, and the right arm and the left leg and the right leg and the torso. It gives us over 40 different parameters that we can look at to get a pretty comprehensive picture of someone's current body composition. And the reason that would be relevant is that if we want to look at measuring someone's progress over time and managing their progress over time, we've got to have some really good baseline data. So this gives us a good way to look at where someone is currently, and then we can do an accurate reassessment after a period of time to assess the progress, and then potentially, if required, make some adjustments to their nutrition, training, lifestyle programs accordingly.
How long does it take to have a scan?
The scan itself is pretty quick. It only goes for about 60 seconds or so, and then the result will take 2 or 3 minutes to upload into our platform. And then once they're in the platform, we'll bring that up on the screen, and we sit down and have a consultation and run through all the numbers together. So all up, it's probably about a 20-minute process from start to finish.
So I understand there's an app that's attached to the scanner where you can access your personal information. Can you explain a little bit more about that?
Yep, the app's free to download. It's available in Android and Apple stores. It's a really good platform, actually. There's a whole range of data that's presented in there in a really clean, user-friendly fashion. So a lot of the times when we're doing the review consultations, I'll get people to bring their results up on their app so that I can show them directly in there, because it's actually probably presented in that app better than it is on the back end, more comprehensive platform that we use from the professional standpoint. So yeah, it's quite good, and it goes through and breaks down all of those different parameters, all those 40 plus parameters in a really easy to understand fashion.
Okay, so once I've received the details from the scan and that information, then what? So how can you then assist patients once they've got a good picture of where they're at?
Yeah, so I guess it probably depends on where they're starting. So we might have some people that come in and they might be in a relatively healthy weight position, but they could potentially have an elevated visceral fat mass. And visceral fat's that internal fatty tissue, which is commonly referred to as a toxic fatty tissue, and that can increase the risk of diabetes, heart disease, a whole range of complications. So if we see an elevation in visceral fat, then there's particular nutrition, lifestyle training strategies that we would look at to specifically target the movement of that visceral fat. Now, there's a range of different ways that we can use it, and that's informed based on what we see. So depending on what the outcomes of the scan are, the intervention will vary accordingly. But we also get a pretty good understanding of our estimated energy requirements, and then that can inform ultimately pitching a component of your calorie budget, and then also looking at macronutrient profiles off the back of that. We can derive all of that information once we've got the initial scan data.
Okay, there's the DEXA machine behind you there. Can you explain the difference between the body scanner and a DEXA scan?
Yep, so we also offer through a separate company a DEXA scan service. DEXA scans are, at this point in time, under the current government regulations, only available for approved research projects. For most people, that's not going to be an option for them. The DEXA scan uses X-rays, so what comes along with that is radiation exposure, and there's a limit as to how often you can do that, given the fact that there is some ionizing radiation. The body scanner that we use as the alternative, the BIA or the impedance analysis, that doesn't have any radiation exposure. So we're not limited in terms of the frequency at which we can do those scans, which is a good thing. And there is some benefits to the BIA scans as well. On a DEXA scan, we get bone mineral content, and we get fat mass, and we get lean mass. And they're the three main elements that the body is broken up into. And lean mass is muscle, but it's also water and minerals and glycogen and a whole range of other components which fall under the umbrella of that lean mass profile. When we do a BIA scan, we can actually separate out the muscle mass portion, but we also get a water element of the body as well. So we can look at those things separately, and that's pretty important. So if someone was to, say, drop 5 kilos in body weight and 1 kilo came off their lean mass profile, well, we can see of that 1 kilo that came off the lean mass profile, how much is muscle mass, how much is water content, how much is fat mass. So it gives us a pretty complete picture. Whereas when we do a DEXA scan, we actually just get the lean mass in total, and then we have to make some assumptions as to how much of that is muscle, how much is water, how much is all those other elements around minerals and glycogen and so on. So we can do that using some informed clinical judgment and experience, but it's a pretty difficult process, and you've got to be doing it for a long time to really understand that. With the impedance analysis, we get a breakdown of all those different things. So it's actually really insightful to have, especially that big water component, and water being such a large element of the body that can fluctuate dramatically. Having the capacity to look at water separate to bone and muscle and all those components is a really key feature, and we use it a lot.
Yep. Another obvious limitation to DEXA is the size of the machine behind you there. It's not mobile, whereas the new body scanner is, and that's had some benefits for you in terms of working closely with organisations on their corporate health programs as well as sporting clubs. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, the DEXA machine is really heavy, hundreds of kilos, and they're pretty sensitive units, so you don't really want to be carrying them around town because it's going to really affect the calibration, and accuracy is everything with body composition. We work with a range of sporting clubs, professional sporting clubs, elite sporting institutions, and we do scans in-house here in North Melbourne, but what that requires is that people need to come in really early for appointments. So, there's obviously limitations that are associated with that. The other machine that we have, the BIA machine, or the impedance analysis, it's a very mobile device, so we can take it around to different facilities. We still can retain really good accuracy in the data that comes out, and we can deliver it in someone's workplace or in their sporting club. So obviously that's very handy, because then we can do a whole group of people in a nice, efficient time manner, and we can run through the data on the spot. So yeah, it's fantastic from that perspective.
Another space that you've used the body scanner with is in gyms, and for personal trainers, there's the obvious benefit that you can work closely with people's trainers in terms of their health goals and fat loss goals and things like that. They just contact you directly if there's some interest in terms of doing, say, groups of scans and things like that?
Yeah, probably the best option is to reach out to us via our contact us page or info@nutritionmelbourne.com.au. I think body scanning for people in gym environments, personal training environments is really smart and very useful, because you can have someone within the context of, say, a half a kilo shift on the scales. Someone internally could move 4 or 5 kilos with lean mass going up and body fat going down, particularly if they're early on into a training phase. Now, you might have someone who's relatively new to exercise, who's come into your gym or your PT studio, and it's very easy for them to see those changes in a relatively short period of time, but they might be thinking just about a number on the scales, and they're not seeing that number shift in the right direction. But when we look at things in a bit more detail, we can see there's really big changes going on, and someone early in a training phase can sort of hyper respond from it, especially from a lean mass perspective. They can quite easily put on a kilo or 2 of muscle mass just because of the change in their exercise patterns. So with this information, we can look at waist circumference measurements, we can look at visceral fat changes, we can look at the muscle mass and the fat mass across the right arm and the left arm and the left leg and the right leg and the torso, and get that sort of full picture of what's going on as well. So yeah, it's a really smart option and keeps people motivated when they're seeing potentially only a small change on a scale, but really big changes going on internally in terms of the tissue composition.
Now, with DEXA, due to the radiation exposure, there's a restriction on how many scans a client can have per year due to safety. You mentioned that's not an issue with the body scanner because there's no radiation involved, but how often would you recommend someone, for example, who's seeing a personal trainer and trying to lose weight, how frequently should they be getting a scan done to measure their progress?
It can vary a little bit depending on the person's starting point. So like we say, quite often, weight loss is a quicker process than muscle gain. So if someone's looking at the process of trying to gain weight, then you'd want to stretch out that time frame in between scans, because having a scan in a relatively short time frame isn't going to be all that useful. Whereas weight loss, quite often you can see some big changes in a relatively short period of time. But it's important to know that, say, for example, someone does have a really rapid change in their body weight, what you really need to make sure is that we're keeping that person's lean mass position under control. So if we lose 10 kilos in body weight, but 5 kilos comes off their lean mass profile, then that's really not a great 10 kilo weight loss. And you can intervene nice and early and do things to help protect the lean mass position of that individual. So during that process, it'll be a shorter time frame. During weight gain, it'll be a bit further extended apart. So it can really vary, but anywhere between 6 and 12 weeks as a starting point could be a good initial review time frame, depending on the individual situation, just because it really helps to get a gauge to what is happening and then make adjustments accordingly. Like if you've got a 12-week plan for someone, and potentially you might want to look at them 6 weeks into the process, because that might give you some information that you can use then to make the necessary adjustments over the following 6 weeks, rather than wait till 12 weeks and realize that what you've been doing hasn't had the desired effects. So it can vary a little bit, but we can help guide that process depending on the individual situation.
Yeah, so it can be really good accountability, motivational tool that trainers can use with their clients. So the body scanner can be a really good accountability and motivational tool that you can work closely with trainers to get really good results with their clients, and you can also offer nutrition support as well.
Yeah, it's very powerful. Our area of expertise is nutrition. So we focus solely on nutrition, and working with personal trainers directly, that can be a really powerful combination. So we're certainly happy to work with PTs who are interested in using body composition measurement and or nutrition services, because I think it's a great service to offer for your clients, and it just, it improves the service that you're delivering ultimately to your clients.
Yeah, well, I guess it gives trainers an opportunity to stay in their lane and be an expert in exercise, and then outsource that nutrition component where, you can offer that expertise and they can get some really powerful outcomes.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, we are limited in terms of exercise advice to provide just some basic information, but we're not the people to come and see to demonstrate how to do an exercise safely and correctly. So we're always looking for new partners in various areas that our clients can access, that we can refer to for safe and effective exercise, because it's a crucial component. And vice versa, from a training perspective, we would expect that there'd be some PTs out there who would really benefit and value the input that professional nutrition service can provide to their clients as well.
So how much does it cost to have a scan with the body scanner? Yeah,
so single scan's $50, and then there's a range of packages that are available. So a 2-scan pack is $90, 3-scan pack is $120, and 4 scans $145. So depending on the number of scans you go, the cost per scan comes down. But yeah, it's money very well spent for sure.
And if you have an organisation or a sporting club or a personal trainer that's interested in you coming out to them and providing that service, that mobile service, they just contact you directly if they've got a group of clients or interested in having the scan?
Yeah, so just contact us directly via the website or info@nutritionmelbourne.com.au. You can have a chat, see how many people you've got available, arrange a time to come out and do the scans. It's a very quick process, so very limited disruption to the general schedule for your environment, but certainly a lot of valuable information that comes out of it. Cheers, thank you.